He's had a mild seizure.
That doesn't seem to bother you.
I said it was mild.
We're in the final stretch of the first season now, and this week's Hannibal brought nearly all of the stars to the table, giving us one of the best episodes thus far. Chilton, Freddy, Bedelia, and the focus of the episode, Dr. Abel Gideon, were all guests as the question of who is the Chesapeake Ripper once again took front and centre. We of course know that Hannibal is the real Ripper, and after Gideon escaped custody, he made it his priority to find all those who treated him, be it doctors, psychiatrists, basically anyone who pushed and prodded his brain, and punish them for what he had become. He told everyone that he was still hazy about his identity, berating Chilton for implanting the idea that he was the Ripper in his head. Now Gideon may not remember who he was before he attempted to hold onto the Ripper's mantle, but if there's one thing he definitely knows now is that he isn't and never was the Chesapeake Ripper. Those delicate trophies he left displayed were done purposely. He wanted to gain the Ripper's attention and allow him to also punish those responsible for trying to take his identity from him. It's a twisted story in itself, but then having Hannibal kill someone in the exact manner that Gideon did, only to remove the victim's arm as well, was done to help the FBI in tracking Gideon down. Eddie Izzard was once again terrific as Abel Gideon. He's a scary killer in his own right, but like Hannibal in a way, he has his own calm method of systematically dismembering his victims. That tongue scene though, it was still bloody moving when we watched it, as the show continues to evolve and bring us more imaginative and disturbing ways to display its murders. And phew, at least Chilton luckily survived this ordeal. It wasn't looking great at first, and it was stomach turning to see him be opened up and dissected like that, but for the part he plays in the future, they just could not lose him this early on, as he is a major player later down the line. But what a sight seeing Chilton hold his own organs together as Freddy aided by pumping him some air. Say what you want about her, but she handled that situation admirably, much better than I would have done, and I owe her one for keeping alive my favourite supporting character. So this week, and likely only this week, Freddy, good job. Now Gideon succeeded in getting the Ripper's attention, but it was only because of Will he got to have a little discussion personally with the man whose identity he stole. You've just got to love how Hannibal never outright admits to anything though, just subtle and at times not so subtle hints about the truth of the matter. He sat there opposite Gideon and told him exactly where he could find Alana. Then, after Will came about, manipulated him once more by leaving his keys, the gun, and the destination for where Gideon was heading. That scene was shot and directed perfectly though. Hannibal knew Will would be gone after leaving the room. He knew Will couldn't stand idly by while Alana was in danger, and it gave him that little chance to just take off his coat that he put on not 30 seconds beforehand. Now the opening scene of the episode was done intentionally to remind us exactly what Hannibal was doing. Chilton failed with manipulating Gideon. His psychic driving exercises became too obvious, eventually leading him to become aware of the methods he was using, which in turn caused it to have no effect on him. For psychic driving to work to its fullest, the subject must not be aware of any influence, which is exactly what Hannibal is doing to Will. I'm saying poor guy every week at this rate, but Will again had to suffer his mind falling apart, seeing Garrett Jacob Hobbs in Gideon's stead, only to have Hannibal tell him that nobody was there. You just can't help but feel for the guy. He can't catch a break, and the one he's looking towards for stability and guidance is the one person manipulating everything and everyone around him. Will ended up having a seizure this week after the toll on his mind became unbearable. Mind you, after gaining consciousness again, he was able to find his way to Alana's home and then shoot Gideon, so it looks like Will's body and mind will not go down without a fight.
We're alone. You came here alone. Do you remember coming here?
Please don't lie to me.
Garrett Jacob Hobbs is dead. You killed him. You watched him die.
What's happening to me?
Will.
My overall verdict for this week's episode of Hannibal is a 9 out of 10. We wrapped up this week's story arc with an eventful conclusion as Gideon came face to face with the real Chesapeake Ripper. Will's mind, which we learned was inflamed by advanced encephalitis last week, once more continued to haunt his dreams. Though visually it's a masterstroke, and I think Hannibal could rival, if not beat, any other show possibly ever when it comes to its stunning visuals. Will in his bed with the tidal waves consuming him, then shifting to him dissipating completely, was nothing short of amazing. And I don't need to go into the gory details of the murders again, as that wagging tongue spoke for itself. Now you all know how much I love Chilton, so his scenes were some of my favourite moments from this week. In particular, that opening scene with Hannibal. Chilton, though, unfortunately, is leagues behind Hannibal when it comes to intelligence, showing that it isn't just Will that Hannibal has under his thumb. Though in terms of the standout moment, for me it has to be without a doubt Will having a seizure in front of both Hannibal and Gideon. You could see Hannibal carefully analysing the situation, and once Will was out of it, he decided it was best time to have a chat with the man who attempted to claim his identity. I was surprised at first when Hannibal didn't take the chance to kill off Gideon, but I guess at the time, considering all that was going on, it was probably best not to draw any additional attention to himself. Gideon was already an escaped convict, evading the FBI and killing off all of his doctors and psychiatrists. So offing Gideon whilst he's in the middle of his murder spree, looking at it like that, wouldn't be ideal at all. Didn't mean Hannibal couldn't influence him after having Gideon go after Alana, but you do begin to wonder, is Will going to realise what's going on? He already knows Hannibal is capable of more than just his therapy sessions, as he learnt the secret of him hiding Nicholas Boyle's body so Abigail wouldn't be thrown to the wolves. So, with only 2 episodes to go, is he going to put the pieces together and figure out that it was and still is Hannibal pulling the strings behind his very elaborate curtain? That'll about do it from me. What did you guys think about this week's Hannibal, and what was your favourite moment from the episode? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.
Are you the Ripper?
A terrible thing. To have your identity taken from you.